Our next guest joining us live from the White House North Lawn, Monica Paige, Beyond the Fence.
Live from the North Lawn of the White House, it's Beyond the Fence with Monica Paige.
Monica, you are my favorite guest that comes on the show every week. I appreciate you so much. How are you?
Chris, you're my favorite show to do every week, so the feeling is mutual. I'm doing great. The weather is beautiful. This is probably the best day of the week, honestly, not only because it's Friday, but because the weather is like oddly not too hot, which I love. I was sweating here all last week, and now we're finally cooling things off a little bit.
Well, all right. So I'm excited to talk to you. We got a peace summit coming to the White House today. What's the latest on that?
Yeah, this is massive. This is Armenia and Azerbaijan, or Azerbaijan, however you pronounce it. But this is huge. This is nearly 4 decades of fighting in the region. Both leaders of each nation are coming here to the White House, where President Trump is expected to sign a massive peace deal. Not only is it going to establish peace, but it's also going to open up any sort of economic opportunities to make sure that these regions are really living up to their full potential, that we can, get some resources from these nations that maybe we haven't even considered previously. Additionally, the president is also expected to open up a brand new corridor route in the region of Azerbaijan. It's called TRIP, the Trump route for international peace and prosperity. That's what it's called. And it's going to be completely funded by private contractors. And this is what's going to be creating in kind of like this region. It's going to transport goods and materials and eventually people. But really exciting news, and something that really just has never been done before.
Yeah, it's really amazing to watch the president negotiate these peace deals. And at the core of them, it's economic policy, it's trade, it's prosperity. And you're seeing a lot of these countries go, I want to be lifted up. Let's just get this done. And then let's get back to peace and prosperity. Have you seen this done with any other president, the way he's leveraging the economy and trade?
Absolutely not. I mean, this is 7 peace deals in 7 months, and it's unbelievable. I mean, the war was really ramping up between Armenia and Azerbaijan, I guess, like in 2020 and 2023, where Azerbaijan was kind of really increasing its assault on the Armenians over there, the Christian population of Armenians, in 2020 and 2023 under Joe Biden. Again, we've seen that with Russia, Ukraine. We've seen it, with Cambodia and Thailand. A lot of problems happening overseas and across, just globally. And President Trump is the only guy who can come together and do it. He can do it right and say, listen, I'm not going to trade with you guys if you're going to keep killing each other, or I'm not going to try and put any trade deals on the table. If you're not going to try and benefit us and respect us as a nation as well, try and help you become the best that you can be. And there really hasn't been another president like this.
No, it's unbelievable to watch. Now, while he's getting peace deals abroad, D.C.'s been in a bit of turmoil. And I know you live in the area. Talk to me about the crime that you've seen in D.C. and what President Trump is doing to really eliminate the danger in that area.
It's such a shame, Chris, because D.C. is such a beautiful city. I mean, it's not only full of history, but just the architecture of some of these buildings here are really outstanding. Like, you don't see this kind of stuff in New York City or Chicago or any places like that. It's very much a unique place, Washington, D.C. Then, unfortunately, you've got these pockets throughout the city where it's just absolutely miserable. A lot of people that I know, a lot of young people live in this place called Navy Yard here in D.C., which is right near where the Washington Nationals play. And they say it's kind of like a conservative hub. A lot of conservatives live over there. But I would never set foot in Navy Yard unless I'm with a group of friends going to a baseball game. Yeah, because you're at the wrong place, the wrong time, on the wrong day of the week, and you're in the middle of a shootout, unfortunately. It's really horrible. And unfortunately, this is common. By Union Station train station is gorgeous in D.C. Unfortunately, it houses a lot of homeless, a lot of people on drugs, a lot of crime. So the president's really looking at saying, hey, if you're going to come visit the White House and be a guest here, it should be beautiful for you to see, our nation's capital. People shouldn't have to live like this, living in fear. Congress people have to get escorts to their cars because they're too afraid of what could possibly happen if they work too late. Same with their staffers. So the president's really trying to put the right people, police officers, in these pockets just to make sure that everything just remains safe and calm. Because when you're in the nation's capital, you shouldn't have to be watching over your shoulder every move.
Yeah, 100%. Full disclosure, my wife and my four kids, they went with their grandparents. They were in D.C. all week, touring the state capitol and checking out the monuments. And I was like, wow, you guys are going to have a great time. And then as soon as they get there, all this news starts breaking. I'm like, oh, crap, should I have gone with them? And it's, you're biting your nails all week, but that shouldn't be like that in our nation's capital. Has there been any more talk about federalizing the police force from Donald Trump?
Yeah, the president's certainly looking at it. And I think that we'll expect to hear more of him talking about this in the coming weeks, especially if the crime report just still kind of stays the same. And the mayor of the city, Muriel Bowser, she doesn't care. I mean, the one thing she really cared about, or the last time she cared about anything, was implementing Black Lives Matter Plaza here right outside the White House. I mean, I can't remember at any time that she truly cared about the safety of her own constituents, of her own residents here in this city. But the president finally taking matters into his own hands, because somebody's got to do it. And who better than President Trump? Because if he wants something done, he will make sure that it gets done.
So let me ask you personally, with the crime that you see in D.C., if you didn't have the gig that you have and you're not at the White House, you're not the reporter, would you live in that area? Would you raise a family in that area?
Absolutely not. Okay, so my first year that I lived here in DC, I don't live in DC proper anymore because it's just gotten kind of out of control. It's gotten dirtier, it's gotten more crowded, and a lot more violence, as you just alluded to. But my first year living here, I was seeing a lot of that, and it grew very quickly. So I moved here, I would say, in 2023. By the time I moved out after a year, it got really crowded. It got really messy. I remember getting emails from my apartment complex saying that there was a shooting just across the street, and it was maybe every other weekend. And I was saying, what decision did I make to even live here? I mean, obviously close proximity to the White House, which is what I wanted.
Yeah.
But wow, what a difference a year makes under, a leadership that doesn't really care that much about crime. But now I live in Northern Virginia, and I will say it's nice. It's much more quiet, which I like. But it's brutal out here. It can be really, really tough.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Well, I hope things get better for you guys, because I don't want any our people getting hurt out there, and it just seems so silly. My wife was talking about what she's seen in D.C., and she's like, if it wasn't for the monuments and everything around, you'd have a hard time believing that you're in America.
Right. And the monuments are so beautiful. Like that's probably the most beautiful part of DC. And then you take one wrong turn, you're on one wrong street, and it doesn't even feel like you are seeing the beauty of DC like we just did, which is it's very upsetting. So I'm hoping that things can change very quickly.
Yeah, and it's like you always have these guests coming in. Yesterday, President Trump announced Purple Heart Day. So you have these incredible heroes, but these guys are a little bit up there in age, and like you do worry about these individuals coming to DC with all the crime. But I'd love to dig in a little bit on Purple Heart Day. What was that like yesterday, and what did the president announce?
Oh, it's wonderful. It was really a nice celebration. Let me tell you, that room was jammed packed with, Tulsi Gabbard was there, Pete Hegseth was there, the Veterans Affairs, Doug Collins was there. And then you've got so many. He honored nearly 100 Purple Heart recipients, and he made sure to tell some of the most compelling stories. And you had 3 of the Purple Heart recipients honored specifically because they sent their medals to President Trump when he was nearly assassinated in Butler, Pennsylvania last July. So that really meant a lot to him. And she said, you guys went through a lot more than I did. So all I can do is just give you a huge thank you. And then he signed a proclamation making August 7th National Purple Heart Day. So it's really a beautiful ceremony. And it's just nice for our heroes to be recognized and given the proper thank you and sense of gratitude that they deserve.
Amen. There was all the talk, especially during Biden. It's like, we get a whole month for Pride, but we don't celebrate our veterans and the heroes of this country enough. It does seem like Donald Trump is correcting that and correcting it quickly. So we started the week, Donald Trump up on the roof of the White House. As you're at the White House and, you're going through, your routines and you turn around and you see the president up on the roof. What runs through your mind?
Well, the first thing I goes through your mind is I gotta go see him. I gotta go ask him a question. I gotta see what he's up to. What's he doing? And this is, I'd say, about the second time so far in the last 7 months that he's done something like this. The first time he was kind of scoping out the North Lawn here where he was going to put the big, beautiful flagpole.
Yes.
But when you see him up on the roof, you say, what are you doing? And he said, I'm taking a walk. I'm just taking a little walk. I'm just, scoping out the scene. I think he wants to, of course, this won't be the side of the White House where he will be putting the big, beautiful ballroom. That'll be the other side. But I think he wants to maybe add something to the roof of the press briefing room, that sort of area. He kind of made his hands in the shape of some kind of dome. Maybe he's thinking about adding something like that, or making maybe a corridor or a pathway to get to one side to the other. But he's always planning something. He's not shy of making a lasting legacy here at the White House.
Yeah, I saw him make the motion for a dome. Maybe we get like a nice glass dome. What other rumors are you hearing about construction at the White House? I mean, I know they've been remaking the Rose Garden. You got like a nice sitting area out there now. People are saying it looks a little bit more like Mar-a-Lago than the White House. Is there any rumors about what's coming next?
I'm hoping that the rumor next is expanding the press briefing room, because that room is a fire hazard, to say the least. It is jam packed. And I think at the next press briefing, I'm going to ask if the president has any plans to move the briefings to another room or to expand the briefing room, because that would definitely be very helpful, especially since it just gets so packed. But that would be a nice next project to work on. I believe next month is when the ballroom is going to start coming to life. I think we're going to see a lot more construction here, a lot more construction. And I'm excited to see what the president's been thinking about as far as the West Wing goes.
Yeah, we get a lot of guests at the White House. We got to have the place nice and shined up for him. We also had Steve Cook in the White House this past week announcing a bunch of jobs coming to Kentucky. Tell me about what this means and also the reaction from the liberal press, because Donald Trump said he was going to bring these jobs back to America and everybody laughed at him. Yet we're seeing time and time again, Trump is executing on the promises he made.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned two great names here, Chris. You say Steve Cook, you've got Stephen Moore, and you've got Tim Cook. So both of those guys came to the White House.
My fault.
No, you're good, because both of them were talking about how many more jobs are going to be coming back to our country. You have $100 billion more investment from Apple, bringing the grand total to $600 billion, which will bring in thousands of new jobs, thousands of more plants for manufacturing, which on top of the tariff revenue that we've been getting will really keep the country hot, as the president likes to say. And then you've got economist Steve Moore, who came to the Oval Office and kind of called in the press last minute, unexpectedly, touting these numbers, these jobs numbers, and just showing graphics. Okay, here's what it was like under Joe Biden.
Yes.
It's very, very low. And then here's how much the nation and the average American family has grown under President Trump, whether that's with jobs, whether that's with wages. And these are all positive signs. I mean, this is just 7 months, Chris. Just imagine what could happen over the next 3.5 years. How much growth, how much more growth, how much, average families can take home so much more. Yep. Unfortunately, under the Biden administration, people were struggling. I remember seeing the reports that families were living paycheck to paycheck, just trying to make ends meet, whether that's saving up for food or got to save up for rent. Rent was going up. So he really provided us a glimmer of hope. And I can't even imagine what the liberal media was really thinking in that Oval Office, because the proof is right in front of you.
Yep.
How do you dispute that? And I'm sure they'll always try to find a way to fact check it, quote unquote. But at the end of the day, the numbers speak for themselves. There's a lot of growth in this country.
Yeah, you love to see it. Full disclosure, I think I've been seeing Steve Cook all week.
That's okay. It's a Friday. My brain's kind of like, oh.
We're talking to White House reporter Monica Paige. She joins us every week at this time. She's one of the best, and she always highlights a story that the mainstream media isn't giving enough attention to. What should we be focusing on that the mainstream media is not?
Well, Chris, you've heard of Alligator Alcatraz. Now get ready for the Speedway Slammer coming out of Indiana. I think that is my favorite story, and one that's not really being highlighted enough. The immigration services were really trying to ramp up their recruitment. They were saying, okay, we need 10,000 applicants, but that number has exceeded. They have received over 80,000 applicants to be an ICE officer, to take on this role. And they say, hey, listen, anybody can join, physical fitness would definitely help, because this is not an easy job, but send over your applications. We're taking anybody and everybody. So I think that's really exciting. This new Speedway Slammer is going to house, I believe, 1,000 more beds. I know that Border Czar Tom Homan really wants to have 100,000 beds. So he's not going to stop until that number is reached. And the Speedway Slammer is going to, I believe, be put up just as quickly as Alligator Alcatraz. So we could see that coming in the next couple months, I think.
That's awesome.
They'll process and deport as quickly as possible. The fast tests. That's why they call it the Speedway.
All right. Well,
Should be exciting.
full disclosure, we want one of those prisons in Tennessee, and we've been crowdsourcing the names because we love the nicknames. So I know you're super connected. If you can float towards Tom Homan, Graceland Gulag or the Honky Tonk Lockdown, those are some of our favorites here on the Chris Hand
Graceland
Show.
Gulag.
Isn't that good?
I was thinking if they do one in Texas, they can call it Texas Hold'em.
Oh,
I would like that.
I like
It's
that
pretty-
too. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Monica Paige, she joins us live from the White House North Lawn. How can we keep up with you over the weekend and get all of your reporting, Monica?
Thank you so much, Chris. You can find me on X and Instagram at Monica Page TV. Chris, you do a great job. You always have a great show, and thank you so much for always having me.